This video is made for Spanish 3 for today. Today is Thursday, September 29th, 8th. Sorry, I'm actually not there today. I'm sick at home. So please watch this video, and I'm going over what to do for today and what's upcoming. So for today, you were supposed to conjugate those 3 verbs, your first, second, and third verbs. So if you want to pause this video at any time and take those out just to refer to them. So what you're supposed to do. And I wanted you to get really familiar with these charts because you have all the presente here. They're just some reference charts. You have your stem changing verbs here with examples of all the stem changers. And then we'll do a little bit of presente progresivo later. So we're not worrying about that, but kind of look at these. If you don't know your question words, you can study some of this stuff in between. And then there's some good notes, saber and conocer. I just like these references for you. For your homework, though, you were supposed to focus on these, the preterite regular. So you're supposed to change your AR, your ER, and your IR to the preterite. Check those over. Maybe have somebody next to you, just take a look at them. Make sure you have. So for AR, you should have had like something like hablé, hablaste, habló, hablamos, hablaron. Hablasteis would be the vosotros form. And then, so you just take the hablaste and add is. And then for ER, so say that we had encender, it would be encendí, encendiste, encendió, encendimos, encendisteis. So you take that encendiste for the to form and you just add is. You can use the yellow posters that are in the room. They're right on the board. It says AR preterite, and then there's a ER because the ER and the IR are exactly the same. So please get used to using those posters to help you with conjugations. They're always there in general. So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about these verbs here. These are also on the orange poster. So there's an orange poster in the room that we'll refer to, but we want to basically take our verb sheet now. So take that sheet that you had here, and we want to put in a few of the preterite irregular verbs. But first, I want to give you some notes on that. So if you have your notebook, just take it out, and we'll just go through those really quickly before we put them on the sheet. I'm also going to reference the song, the Irregulares del Pretérito, and so we can kind of look at those. So these are going to be all your stems that are irregular, and they're different. They're kind of like their own set of verbs. So if you just in your notebook, let's just jot some down. So what we want to do is we want to take, so basically all the stems are going to be, so we'll like take tener, for example. And all the endings are going to be exactly the same. It doesn't matter if it's an ER verb, an AR verb, an IR verb. For this special set of families, I call them the irregular stem verbs. They're going to be their own set of endings. So you're not going to pay attention to like the A, aste, o, amos, astes, aron, or the I, iste, yo, imos, istes, hicieron. You're going to use their own set. So for these, you have A, and there's no accents on these at all. So you're not going to put accents on these. Since they're so special, they don't get accents. So just jot down these endings. You can put them right in your notebook. So iste, you're taking the to form and adding ist, and then hicieron. So even if it's an AR verb, you're still using hicieron, and there's no accents. So even in the song, it says no llevan acentos, no llevan acentos. So what we need to do is we have to memorize the bases. So for tener, it's going to be tuv. So for example, if I wanted to say like I had a party, it would be tuve, tuviste, tuvo. So you're just adding the endings that are right here onto that stem. So what you could do is you could pick a few of these after we do these notes now and go back over to your notes. And then I think we're on verb like 6 or so. So just pick 2 or 3 of these verbs. We do have to do kargarzar, so I would say try to leave like maybe verbs 8 and 9 if you can for kargarzar, but try to conjugate 3 of these verbs. You can choose which one you want. So for tener, it would be tuv. Then we have estar. So let's put estar down. For estar, it's estuv. So you would say like estuve en la fiesta, I was at the party, or estuviste en la escuela, ayer, por ejemplo. And then we have poder, is pud. So you'd say like pude hacer mi tarea, I was able to. So this is the past tense. We want to make sure that this is preterite and that we know it's preterite. for poner. And you can reference the orange poster. Again, if you look at it right now, you're going to see all these stems there. It's pus. So you'd say like puse las llaves en la mesa. I put the keys on the table. And then we have andar, which is to make sure you know the meanings of these verbs too. So jot them down if you don't. This is to walk or to ride, like andar en bicicleta, for example, or andar en motocicleta. So you'd say like anduve a la escuela, I walked to school, or anduviste en motocicleta or en bicicleta. We have hacer. So hacer is, you're not going to say así, right? Because that's not the form. You have to use hice. So if you want to say like, I did my homework, you would say hice mi tarea, or tú hiciste comida, you made food. Then we have querer. Querer is going to be quis. So like I wanted to. Yo quise comer, pero no pude, but I couldn't. So you want to pay attention to these verbs. They're special. Saber in the past is actually means to find out. So it means to know, but in the past you find something out. So you'd like say supe la verdad. I found out the truth. So that is soup. So supe, and then you'd say supiste, supo, supimos, supisteis, and supieron. So these are, you really just have to kind of memorize these, although the posters are always up. Venir is vin. So you would say like vine a la escuela hoy, or viniste, or vino, el vino a la fiesta, he came to the party. So then the last set that I want to talk about before we go talking about the project is the J verbs. So J verbs are a little bit different. So you have verbs like this year is a J verb. So let's put this year down, and that's considered to be a J verb. It has a J in it, so D. So you're still going to have your endings a, iste, and these, if you want to just put like J verbs, special J verbs with the special bases. You still do iste, o, imos, isteis. But then for the last one, instead of saying hieron, it's just eron. So that's the only difference with J verbs, is instead of saying hieron, like you would with the others, it's not hieron, it becomes eron. So if you want to say like they said, you would say dijeron. But the other ones would be the same. It'd be dije, dijiste, dijo, dijimos, dijisteis, and dijeron. And then same with traer is another J verb. That's tra. So you see the J right in there for preterite for these irregular stems. If you see that J, it's mostly like legally going to just be that trajeron. And then conducir is another one, to drive. That would be condu. So you'd say like conduje a la escuela, or condujiste, or condujo, condujimos, condusteis. But then if you had the ellos form, you want to just know that it's condujeron and not condujeron, like we knew with the other stems. So just a special set of verbs that these are. And what I want you to do now is take your sheet, do 2 or 3 conjugations here. So pick, you're doing the preterite. So you already did the present, hopefully. If you want to do the preterite, if you didn't do the present for these special ones, you could do that in like reverse now. So then do the preterite conjugations and then try to do the present. So do that now, and then pause this video. And then I want to talk to you about your Verano Fabuloso projects, which you can get started on today. Okay, so what we're going to do is just talk quickly about this. You have in your schedule for today, you're going to see the documents where I explain the project, just the overall explanation, and then you're going to see an example project and also the rubric. This is also in Schoology. You also have the due date of the project. So basically, you're going to be making some slides. You want to pick, and you already should have done this, picked 3 of your experiences from the summer that you want to write about. You wrote it in English in your notebook, I think the second week of school, or second week, I think. So you want to basically use the explanation here. You're picking 3 experiences you had over the summer to write about with pictures and vocabulary. You can't use any words though on your slides except for the titles, and I'll show you an example in a minute. So basically, you're making slides and including a title page. Your title should be El Verano Fabuloso de, and then you would put your name. So that would be like your title page and then your name. And then you're going to go through each experience and just say what you did for that experience. So I'll give you an example in a minute. And then you don't want to use any words on your slide, though. This should be memorized as much as possible. You can use emergency Spanish. It does not have to be perfect Spanish. I'm not taking off for like small grammar mistakes or just in general that you have a fluidity and that you've mostly studied your slides. You also want to ask 3 questions at the very end of the presentation. You want to do like a true false question, a multiple choice, or a fill in the blank about your presentation. I would check over your presentation with me in person. I'll be back at school very soon. And so don't send me presentations and say, check this over and let me know, because I have a lot of students and I like to do it interactively with you. We will have the next class dedicated to working on our presentations. So you'll hopefully do a little bit of this in class today, a little bit at home, and then bring your presentation to next class. And then we can go over things, but you can also come see me during office hours and we can go over some of your work. So you want to say, you want to use a variety of verbs. You don't want to just use all AR verbs. Try to use some, just whatever verbs you want to use. You cannot use a translator. You can use Spanish dictionary. It's in the back of the room if you want to look up a verb, but you're just making very simple sentences about your experience. So you want to have a title. So let me actually go into the presentation so you can see an example so that you have a link to this within the explanation. And then you also have in your schedule, you have the actual presentation. So it just starts out with like El Verano Fabuloso de Señora Cordiale. And then what I did is I started with, and just write experiencia uno. You can write those words on your slide, and then you just want to say what you did. So I said, fui de camping y a festivales de música. So I used the word fui. I want this to be in the preterite, unless it makes sense to use the present tense. And I did explain that within the project explanation, that you might say like, normalmente voy a Allegheny, pero este año yo fui a Adirondacks, por ejemplo. Or me gusta mucho trabajar or acampar, for example. So if it makes sense to use the present, you can, but try to mix it kind of like within the preterite and the present, but your titles should be in the preterite. You want to use only pictures to say what you did. So for this one, I might say acampé en el bosque, trabajé con reciclaje. You want to use all Spanish with these, but you can keep it really simple and just use pictures. So I did a second slide. I'm still on my first experience, and I would say like something like cociné afuera en mi estufa. Like I cooked outside with my stove. Hice fuegos. I made fires. So it can be super simple sentences. Use your pictures. For the second one, for my experiencia dos, because remember you have to have 3 experiences. I said hice senderismo en el bosque cerca de mi casa. So I just said I went hiking. Hacer senderismo is just how to say to do hiking or to go hiking. So I have a second verb. I did not repeat fui. Don't say fui, fui, fui for all of your experiences, or I will take off for that. I'm looking for a variety of verbs. So I would say something like, normalmente visito a mi mamá en Hawaii, pero este año no fui a Hawaii. Me quedé en casa. I stayed home. So you want to have about 3 sentences. Aside from your title, you want to say about 3 things. So maybe like 3 pictures, but just keep it really simple. I put more pictures here. En el bosque hay gatos y personas que caminan. My experience 3 was leí 6 libros. So I just did a really simple thing. I read 3 books. Normalmente no leo mucho en el verano, pero tuve más tiempo. Fui a la playa y leí. Y mi libro favorito fue 11 Seconds de Paulo Coelho. Antes, mi libro favorito fue The Alchemist. So I'm just keeping it really simple. And then I just put some more photos if you wanted to like tell us a little bit more. You don't have to do that. I said gracias por tu atención. And then you don't have to do these slides, but you do have to do the questions. So for example, I said, ¿Cómo se dice I went? But no, these are the questions. So for example, ¿A dónde fue de camping la señora Cordiale? And then you could do like multiple choice. And then I said, otro ejemplo for opción multi, ¿cuántos libros leyó señora Corriale este verano? And then you could say leyó 4 libros. You can do like multiple choice. Esta persona es la mamá. You're supposed to fill in the blank. And then you could do a verdad or falso. Señora Corriale fue al bosque casi todos los días. So my recommendation is you can look at the rubric too if you want. I'm just looking that you're using details, you are using grammar in the past tense with leisure activities and summer activities, that you're just well prepared, that you're not reading from notes, you're not looking at a paper. If you do, that does take up a little bit of credit, but this is worth 30 points on your grade. And we're going to present next week. So you can get started on your experiences. You can start writing, you can start looking for pictures. You may use your phone if it's looking for pictures, but you want to maybe just set up your slides. You can do that today. Do a little work at home. That's your only homework, is to work on your presentation. And then we'll have a full day. If we look in our schedule here, the next time I see you, we're going to do some relay races, but then we're going to work on our presentations. I think I'm going to have to change this Hispanic Heritage Month video to another time. But yeah, so then we're going to present that next class. So next class you see me, you'll have time to work on your presentations, check over your work, and then you'll do your little, I call it a chat more than a presentation because I don't want you to be super stressed about it, but you stand in the back of the room. Everyone's going to be looking at the screen, so you won't be stared at. And then you just kind of gently go through your presentation and just tell us about your summer, what was exciting about it. Use the past tense. If you want to use a little bit of present in there, you can, but it should just make sense in the context of your presentation. Muchas gracias. I hope this all makes sense, and I will see you soon. Hasta luego. Gracias.